Yo, what is going on, everybody? Low Energy DA Comics here. Welcome back to Around the Boxes. We are back around these boxes. Stating the obvious right from the get-go. It's been, a month since my last video. I am sorry, but I'm gonna stop apologizing every single video I make because this is just kind of how things are gonna be for a little bit. Still having the same issues, still having health issues, trying to get through those, and that's kind of been what's keeping me from doing the amount of content that I really want to do. Obviously, going into 2022, I had a lot of hopes to be ramping up content, doing a lot of awesome stuff, and COVID had other plans for me. So for anyone who is out of the loop on my channel, or maybe you're new and you're watching this, I got COVID beginning of 2022. I've had ongoing health issues since, and that is why recently I've been unable to stream and make videos and do all that stuff that I want to do as often as I would like to do it. So I'm gonna be inconsistent for a while yet. I keep going through, I keep feeling like I'm getting better, and then things get worse. Right now I'm kind of in a low, feeling worse. I am actively talking with my doctor. We're actively trying a lot of different things, so don't worry about me. I'm getting taken care of, but that's why I just haven't really been able to make videos as much as I want to, because I've just been trying to self-help mode. So that's kind of what's going on right now. But I wanted to hop on and make this video because I don't want to be just completely disappeared, especially with my reputation of disappearing from YouTube. I'm serious when I say I'm back for good now, but I just gotta keep going and keep making videos as often as I can, just to maintain consistency until I'm fully better. I've been picking up comics every single week. I've fallen behind a little bit on reading them. So I'm actually splitting this episode into two, parts. So I got the comics that I have read, and then the comics that I have not read, I will be reading over the next week, and I will be having those in the next episode next week, hopefully. Excuse me. But that just kind of depends on how things go and all that. But also, a lot of these books aren't bagged and boarded. I ran out of bags and boards. Need to pick some more up. This is going to be definitely a shorter episode today, just because, like I said, still not feeling great. In case you can't hear me gasping for air every 5 seconds. It's really the main reason why I haven't been able to make content as much is just because talking for a long period of time really exacerbates my issues. And so that's why Webheads has kind of been on pause, because recording a whole podcast would be a bit difficult for me. And that's why I haven't been able to do these, because even, sitting and talking for 30-40 minutes can be a lot. So I'm just trying to take it easy. So it's going to be a shorter episode today, just so I can go through my comics, talk about them. I wanted to make this while it's still relevant, because Amazing Spider-Man 1 just came out like a week ago, and I wanted to talk about that and a bunch of other stuff, so we're going to do that. But we're going to keep it low energy, we're just going to chill, and we're going to go through these. So going through, wow, it's been a while since my last Around the Boxes, because some of these I bought a long time ago. But for a while, this was a few weeks ago. This was when I was pretty much in bed all day, every day. I was bored and I wanted to do some reading. And I was in a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles mood for some reason. I really went through a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles kick a few weeks ago. And I was watching all the movies and stuff. And I decided I wanted to read the comic book. But I've tried to pick up the comic book before, and I just never knew what was going on. So I was like, I need to start from the beginning. So I picked up Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Volume 1. The trade paperback. This is issue 1 through 5. It doesn't say. Well, it's the first story arc of the comic book. And then after I read this in one sitting, I realized that it was going to be way too expensive to buy all the volumes, especially if I wanted to catch up quickly. So I ended up reading the rest of it on Comixology, digitally. Not the rest of it. I haven't caught up yet. I've gotten pretty far. I've read through the first 10 volumes at least. But I need to get back on reading that because I kind of fell off. But I'm trying to get caught back up to current so that I can start picking it up when the new issues come out. I've always liked the Ninja Turtles. I liked them when I was a kid. And this comic was really, really good. This series, I like what they're doing with it. I think it's awesome. Definitely check it out. Now, I did that, and then immediately after I bought that, I ordered Batman and Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles because I was like, that's an awesome crossover. This is the crossover I didn't know I needed, and I have not read it yet. So I guess I should have saved this for next week, but it was just in my pile. So I'll give you guys an update once I've read it and let you know what I thought of it. I'm sure it'll be really great, but I wanted to read this and then look into getting the second one, reading that one, and so on and so forth. You get the idea. But perfect crossover. Love it. And the last thing I want to show you before I dive into my comics, another thing came out recently, and this is something I was very much looking forward to. As I've talked about before on this channel, you guys may know that I love a good tabletop role-playing game, specifically Dungeons & Dragons. I got my D&D stuff piled up back here and a bunch more over there. And so I saw this in an ad in a comic book a few weeks ago, and I was like, man, I need to get that when that comes out. And that is the Marvel Multiverse role-playing game playtest rulebook. So this is obviously a Marvel superheroes tabletop role-playing game, which is awesome. You can play as existing Marvel heroes, or you can create your own. There's a lot of potential here. Obviously, it's just a playtest, so it's a very small, compared to normal RPG books, which are huge. It's just a taste of what the game could be, but I wanted to try it out and see how it is, and then the full core rulebook should be coming out next year. So I'm definitely on board for it. I think it's super cool. I wanted to show it here because I will have more information. I'm gonna be doing a playtest of the pre-made adventure that's in here, just to test it out and see how they did with the adventure, with the game, with the characters, everything like that. And I will be putting that up on YouTube. More announcements to come soon of when that will be and where that will be. And that's all I'm going to leave on that. But, so that will be coming soon. So if that interests you at all, if you want to witness some Marvel story goodness, then stay tuned for that. We'll have more information coming on this channel for sure. I will have information coming on where you can watch that, but there's a possibility it will be somewhere else. That's all I'm going to say for right now. So no spoilies, but we'll have a proper announcement when I'm ready to fully announce that that's happening and when it's scheduled, and be playing it with some friends, some familiar faces to the channel, and some new faces to the channel. So hopefully you guys can check that out when that time comes, but that will be coming soon. Now, diving into the comics. Obviously, like I said, getting into TMNT, when I was at my comic store, I just briefly looked through their pile of books, and they had issue 14 for cover price, so I was like, yeah, I'll pick that up, sure. So got issue 14 of Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, the newest series, for cover price, which I felt like was a pretty sweet deal, so not trying to collect the whole run or anything, but I was like, yeah, I'll pick that up, why not? I have other individual issues from it. But yeah, next we have Batman. I don't even think I read this. I don't think I'm going to read this. I'm dropping it, basically. As I've mentioned in past episodes, I was giving Batman a try, just reading it and seeing how I felt about it, and yeah, not really feeling it. Not loving it. Hasn't been great. I just think DC Comics as of late has not really been it for me, so I will not be picking this up any further. So yeah. That's my final review. I tried it for like 4 issues, so generally my criteria, and I'll be talking about this more with that pile of comics over there, because part of the reason I haven't been reading them is because I haven't really cared to. And generally my criteria is if I get to a point where a book comes out and I don't want to read it immediately, I'm just dropping it. Because obviously I don't want to read it, so why am I still getting it? I feel like I'm getting it out of loyalty or something, like, oh, I need to keep picking it up, but it's like, no, I don't. I'm not enjoying it. I don't care about the next issue. I'm not picking it up. And we'll talk about that more as we go through this pile, but Fantastic Four Life Story 6, I don't think I read this one either. Kind of lost interest in it, but I got, it's the 6th issue, so I got the complete run as a collector, but reading-wise, wasn't a huge fan. Same with Fantastic Four 42. Now, I think I read this. I don't really remember it, and I am pretty much decided that I'm going to be dropping Fantastic Four. The only reason why is, like I said, I've been picking up a lot of comic books. They've been getting a little expensive. And specifically with Fantastic Four, I just have not been looking forward to the next issue. I mean, when this book came out, I was like, oh, and then it was like I have to read it rather than I want to read it. I think Reckoning War just kind of killed it for me. but I'm pretty much just waiting for the next run. I mean, whenever they do a new run, they start over at issue 1, I'll give it a try. But as it is right now, just don't want to keep spending money on it. I'm not really enjoying it. Same with Black Panther. We got Black Panther 4 here. I don't think I read this one because I needed to get Black Panther 3. But every single Black Panther issue that's been coming out has been selling out at my comic store. And, like, I enjoyed the ones I read, but I haven't been hooked. So I figured it's not really worth the hassle. I've been having to order online and, paying upcharges and things like that. Just not really interested in doing that. So I'm dropping this one, not picking it up any further. And now this next one was a decision I did not come to lightly. The Avengers 54. I am dropping this series as well. If you've watched my past episodes of Around the Boxes, every time I pick up an Avengers issue, I'm always like, yeah, it's cool, I guess, whatever. But I'm never excited to read it. I'm never like, wow, that was awesome. Maybe when the multiversal Masters of Evil showed up, I thought that was pretty cool. But just generally the story, I just having a hard time following it, having a hard time caring. And honestly, when new issues have come out, I just haven't been excited for it at all. So I'm going to pass on it for now. Once again, if they start over at issue 1, I'll definitely give it a try and see how I feel about it and hopefully like it. But for right now, I just can't say that I do. And so it's not really worth spending money on it for me right now. So I'm not going to be. But those are all the books I'm dropping. Now to get to some books that I'm really enjoying. We have Carnage number 1. This is obviously the new Carnage Standalone series. I think it's probably a limited series. I doubt they're going to go on forever. But I really liked this book. I thought it was really good. The stories really captured Carnage in a really great way. I liked how the last... was it the last one? This story. Is this a different story than this one? Hang on, sorry, I'm flipping through. I feel like the artist on the last story in this book really captured the Carnage I know and love. I mean, that is classic Carnage. And this does take place back during OG Carnage with Cletus Cassidy, and it just looks like Mark Bagley's proper Carnage, and that is the Carnage I know and love. So I was really happy to see that. I hope we get a little bit more of that in the modern setting, but obviously Carnage has undergone a lot of changes over the years, and they have to stay true to that. I also picked up this variant of Carnage 1. It's the Mark Bagley variant. I just thought it was really cool. Obviously, being Mark Bagley, the creator of Carnage, I like that, but also I just liked the cover itself. With him kind of howling at the moon. I think that's a really cool art, so picked that up. Moving forward, we have Saga. As you guys may know, I've been loving Saga and really enjoy that it's back to releasing issues because I read the compendium right before they came back and I've been picking up every issue. So we have 57 and 58. Not much I can really say about these books without spoiling them, and I really highly recommend you read them yourself. I love them. They're very good. This is one of those series that I don't see myself dropping anytime soon because every single week when I check my comic app, if I see that there's a new Saga issue, I go, oh, nice. I get excited. So that's how I know I shouldn't drop this series because it's actually a series that I look forward to. It's something I want to read. It's one of the first ones I read when it does come out. So definitely really enjoying that. It's an interesting storyline we're in right now. It's a big time jump they went through. And yeah, definitely check it out if you're over 18. There's nudity in here, so if you're under 18, don't check it out. But otherwise, it's very good. Now, last books I got today. Obviously, the titular comics for this episode. They're in the thumbnail. It is the new era of Spider-Man with the Amazing Spider-Man issue number 1. Now, a lot of people online were memeing the fact saying, like, wow, they're doing another number 1. Like, didn't they just do that? Yada, yada, yada. And I'm sort of with you, but I'm going to actually switch sides here because as you guys, if you've watched my channel for years and years and years, you know that I used to mock the heck out of their constant reboots that Marvel did. Marvel Now, all new Marvel Now, all new, all different Marvel Now, one issues. Series would get to like 10 issues and then restart. I don't think this is that, and there's 2 reasons for that. One, the previous run of this book got up into the 90s of issues, so that was a pretty decent run. And 2, Marvel Legacy changed all of that. I don't give a single damn if they restart at issue 1 every 15 issues, as long as they keep that legacy number there, because that's the number that matters to me as a collector. Because I look at this, yeah, it's issue 1, but it's legacy 895. So as far as I'm concerned, the legacy number is the issue number. This is just what number it is in this creative run, which is what legacy was intended to be. And I think it's a perfect system, because this signals to readers, hey, this is a good jumping on point. It's a new creative team, a new story. You can start right here with issue number 1. They're going to get their number 1 sales. But as a collector, it is still issue 895, and we can keep that going. In 5 issues, we'll have issue 900, and it'll be a big deal. I have no problem with the fact that they reboot every time they have a new creative team. I like that, as long as they have that legacy number. If they ever get rid of that legacy number, I will be the first to complain about their reboots at that point. But, putting all that aside, so I got my cover A, and then I did pick up a variant. Now, don't mock me, but I picked up this variant. For a couple of reasons. One, I do think it's really good art. I mean, this is really well painted. I think it's painted. Might be drawn. I don't know. Two, it's Mary Jane and Black Cat, obviously. The two best Spidey girlfriends. Black Cat's my personal favorite, but that's just my hot take. But I figured this is a cover that might be worth something one day. I feel like a lot of people want this. I generally don't like to buy the horny comics, but I wouldn't. This isn't quite to the level of being ridiculous. I mean, if it was Mary Jane and Black Cat in like lingerie posing with each other, then that would be a little bit too far. But this is just a really good cover depicting the two of them as kind of the duality of, you know, loves Peter Parker, loves Spider-Man type of thing. I did think it was funny though, looking at this cover. You can see their facial features are not lined up. Her nose is much higher than her nose. Her mouth is higher than her mouth. So you're thinking, okay, if the point of this cover was to have the double face, they have to line it up at some point, right? Now, they might have different facial proportions, and that's why it's out of sync. So I was wondering, you know, what point did they choose to align it at? And if you look closely, you'll see that it is perfectly aligned right at their cleavage. So that's a little ridiculous. But aside from that, yeah, great cover. You know, it's a good time. We're all adults here. Hopefully we're all adults here. If you're not, you know, cover your ears for a second. But, like, both of these are beautiful women, all right? And I don't think they're overly sexualized. I think they just look beautiful on the cover. So, you know what? I was like, screw it. I'm going to get it, all right? If you judge me for that, then too bad. Hit that like button. But anyway, talking about the actual comic itself, I'm going to open it up here because I don't quite remember. I have a bad memory for this sort of stuff. I do like, they have a new material for the cover. Kind of reminds me of what DC was doing during the New 52 era. And I actually really like it. I doubt they'll do it for every issue, probably just this one, but I do actually like that. That is a good material. Cover-wise, this cover sucks. I talked about it when they previewed it and announced it. I'm not a huge fan of John Romita Jr.'s art, and that goes for the whole book. Not a huge fan of John Romita Jr.'s art in this book or in any book. But before I go further and talk about the story of this issue, I'm obviously got to put out a spoiler alert. It's been out for a week, so if you haven't read it yet, that's on you. But if you don't want spoilers for this issue before you read it, then obviously turn off the video now and come back after you've read it, and then you can hear my thoughts on it. But going forward with spoilers, I did not love this book. I did not love this book. Now, I was hesitant about it. I was optimistic about Zeb Wells, because, you know, I've liked Zeb Wells' work in the past. John Romita Jr., not my favorite, but the story matters more than the art, in my opinion, for whether I enjoy it or not. Like, if the story's really good, but the art's not great, I can enjoy it. But if the art's amazing, but the story sucks, you know, you can't enjoy it. But it starts off with this shot, which we've seen in the marketing for the comic book. I had assumed when they were doing this marketing that this was going to be the end of Beyond. They kept saying, what did he do? And I was thinking that something was going to happen at the end of Beyond that would lead into this book. But it seems that that's not the case, because Beyond kind of had a happy ending. It ended with that glowing figure coming up to the window and taking Peter, and so I guess that is what led into this sequence of events that we don't know. So they're kind of doing a little something happened, but we the readers don't know what, and I guess we'll find out over the course of the story. So that I'm okay with. I'm intrigued. It's not my favorite form of storytelling. I think it's a little cliche, but you know, I'm here for it. And then they do the 6 months later, which, you know, whatever. And immediately, as soon as I opened to this page, I could tell something was off. And when I say something is off, I mean, we've gone back to a Spider-Man trope that is overdone, I don't like, and it happens too much, which is that everybody hates Peter Parker. I absolutely hate when writers do this. Dan Slott was notorious for this. There are numerous video essays on the internet talking about how Dan Slott was just like so mean to Peter Parker. But immediately this starts and Aunt May is like fed up with Peter's shit. And that's such a weird 180, going from Beyond, where he was in a coma and Aunt May was like so desperately trying to save him, to all of a sudden being like, I'm tired of your shit, and just being mad at him for seemingly no reason. Now, this is done intentionally because it's supposed to be whatever happened to Peter 6 months ago has caused him to be distant to the people he cares about. And so, he's been distant to Aunt May, and that's why she's upset. But that's what pisses me off so much about the stories, because that's not what Peter Parker would do. When Peter Parker has rough times, right? Like, whatever happened was a rough time for him. He then goes to the people he loves. He counts on them. He needs them, and this was off to a bad start, showing that him and Aunt May are kind of not getting along great right now. I was like, oh, we've been there before. How many times have we done that? And it gets worse as we go through the story. So he wanders off. You see that there is a, what's it called? Like a, I don't know the name, but he owes money on presumably medical bills from his coma, and so they're trying to get the money from him, and they're calling his Aunt May, so we see that he's having financial troubles. He runs into Randy Robertson, his friend, and once again, he's being a dick to him. I mean, this guy is trying to talk to him. He's trying to tell him that he's going to propose to his girlfriend, and the Peter Parker that I know would be supportive, would be excited, would be like, that's so great, yada yada, and he does do that, but he kind of gives him the cold shoulder. He kind of is just like, hey, whatever, don't bother me. And that's just so weird. And maybe that's what they're going for. Maybe the whole point, maybe this will be kind of like Superior Spider-Man, where it starts off and you're like, this doesn't seem like him, and then all of a sudden you realize it's not him. So maybe they're planning something like that a few issues in. Once we figure out what actually happened 6 months ago, then it'll all make sense. So I'm holding out, but I just don't like what I'm seeing so far. It seems like they're making Peter Parker a dick again, and that is not what he does. So Tombstone, gang war stuff going on between Tombstone and the Rose. Is it the Rose or just Rose? I think it's the Rose. And honestly, I'm down for it. I love when Spider-Man stories have just like gang wars, and we're dealing with Kingpin and Tombstone and Hammerhead and all these characters. I think that's really cool. I would love to see a movie like that. That's my hope for the next MCU Spider-Man movie. So I'm happy to see them doing that in the comics. So villain-wise, I do really like the plot here. So Tombstone and Rose are kind of clashing. Peter shaves his face. He decides not to put the Spider-Man costume on. He runs into Johnny Storm, and once again, this is another one of Peter Parker's loved ones who is mad at Peter. You're noticing the theme here, and I'm kind of sick of it. So Peter is a complete dick to Johnny for no reason whatsoever, and then he gives him the cold shoulder and says, whatever, I'm not talking to you, and so, a little ridiculous. Cuts to Randy asking Tombstone for his permission to ask his daughter out, to be married. Tombstone is, seemingly nice to him, and Peter leaves him be, but then he sees some of Tombstone's associates going off to do crime, and he dons the costume and heads out into action. Now, as far as John Romita Jr.'s art goes, this panel, I don't love, but that panel is great. I don't know what the real difference is, but the panel of him landing on the car, I do actually really like that panel. I think the art's really good there. But he jumps on their car and tails them out to the edge of the city where they're doing some sort of exchange, and Spider-Man fights Digger, and they have some combat there. This part's alright. I enjoyed this. Classic Spider-Man action, can't complain. Like I said, the villain parts I enjoyed. It's the Peter Parker parts that I don't enjoy. But he gets back to his apartment, and what do you know? He's calling MJ, and she's giving him the cold shoulder. So MJ's mad at Peter again, guys. We knew they wouldn't last. I said it would happen. I knew it would happen. As soon as Nick Spencer was setting them up to have their happily ever after, get them together again, get them married again, they had to go and break up. Now, will that last? Who knows? Maybe they will get together. Hopefully they will. But, MJ's mad at Peter again, shocker, which is it's such a 180, because in both Nick Spencer's run and beyond, MJ was super supportive, she was there for Peter, she was his shoulder to cry on, she was all of a sudden like very supportive of his being Spider-Man and everything like that, and it was really refreshing to see. And then it's just a 180 to like, don't call me again, hang up. It's like, we've been there already. We've done this before. Do something new. So cut to Tombstone's house getting blown up. You know, cool. I like that. Peter Parker going about his day, going and threatening Tombstone. I mean, it's obvious that what they're trying to get at is that Peter Parker has been kind of in a depressive state. Maybe a little bit self-destructive state. That's why he's pushed everyone close to him away. And now you see, he says something along the lines of, after he leaves the talk with Tombstone, he's like, I got a job after all. So it's like this sense of duty, this conflict with Tombstone is giving him something to do, and so maybe that will help him to get out of this slump. But again, I just don't like that. That's not how I feel Peter Parker would behave in that situation. But it shows Mary Jane seeing him out of the window, and then this is when we get the biggest plot twist of the entire book. If you've read it, you already know. Mary Jane has kids? Question mark? Yeah, this is certainly a twist. I can't tell if they're twins or if the boy is older. But obviously there's so many questions coming from this, right? I mean, it's like, who's the father? Is it Peter? Is it someone else? What's going on here? I don't know how I feel about this. I need to know more before I can really judge on this. I mean, this is obviously the last page of the book, so we can't really judge until we get more story to really explain what is going on here, but I hope that it's not... How do I say this? I hope if it is her kids, I hope that it's Peter's kids, because if it's someone else's kids, that's going to just be really weird, because if they do get back together, they get married, then he has like stepkids, and it's just a weird situation, because I think everyone has really been hoping for them to get together and have a daughter and have her be Spider-Girl and do, that version of the story. So this is definitely a bold decision, so I will give them some credit for having the daring to have this be a plot twist, but I don't know. I need to see where they go with it before I really render my judgment. All in all, if I had to rate this issue out of 10, we'll do it Webhead style. I would probably rate it like a 5. I enjoyed the parts with Spider-Man. I enjoyed the parts with the villains. I did not like what they're doing with Peter Parker. Peter Parker pushing his loved ones away. It's so overdone. It's been done before. We've been there. We've done that. We don't need more of it. I want to see them do something new with it. But overall, that's my thoughts on the book. And that is going to be it for my episode of Around the Boxes today. So if you enjoyed, please leave a like button. Leave a like button. Please hit that like button. If you're new here, hit the subscribe button. Otherwise, I got nothing else to plug. Well, I mean, go follow me on all the things. Gaming YouTube channel. I uploaded a video there a couple weeks ago, Elden Ring video. So if you like Elden Ring, go and check out. Link should be in my description. Otherwise, it's on my channel. Twitch, live streaming, Elden Ring. I've been streaming World of Warcraft lately. If you want to check that out. TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, all of those. Pretty much search DA Comics on any of those and you'll find me. So I will see you guys next week. I should be doing another Around the Boxes live stream next week with the rest of the books that I've picked up, as well as the books I'll be buying next week. And hopefully sometime next week I should have that announcement that I was teasing about the future of, playing that Marvel RPG and stuff. So stay tuned for that. But other than that, thanks for watching.